You said, and their rockets, you don't use the term missiles. You actually use the term sometimes firecrackers and fireworks.
Enhanced fireworks. Well, first of all, there are several myths that were propagated during Operation Protective Edge. Some of them were revivals of past myths, and some were new creations, new media creations. Israel uses the term hasbara, which means the literal translation is public diplomacy, but more commonly it's just defined as propaganda, Israeli propaganda. And the Israeli Hasbara campaign had this, during Operation Protective Edge, basically had three components, two of which you mentioned. One, which is a recycled component, in which President Obama referred to the Hamas rockets. No country would tolerate rockets being fired at it. Two were what came to be called the terror tunnels. As President Obama put it, no country would tolerate tunnels being dug underneath its border into Israel, in this case into Israel. And three was Iron Dome. Iron Dome was recycled. It began with Operation Pillar of Defense, when Israel was celebrating its technological wizardry with Iron Dome. And as a factual matter, if one looks at the record, there were no Hamas rockets, there was no Iron Dome, and there were no terror tunnels. All three were just what I call in the book meta-props of Israel's Hasbara campaign. Yeah, let's see. And if you look at before and after, the same ratio of projectiles fired to civilians killed. It was about 300 to 1, if my memory serves. Which is to say, Iron Dome didn't save a single life. So that was a fake, the Iron Dome.
So if fewer people died, it was because of the civil defense system, not because of Iron Dome.
So I go back to the point.
Just let me just make one last point. One of the world's leading authorities on anti-missile defense is Theodore Postel from MIT. And Postel has to his credit that he was the one who exposed the Patriot missile hoax, which I don't have time to go into now. But he said at most, the efficacy rate of Iron Dome was at most 10%, probably closer to 5%.
And as a factual matter, if one looks at the record, there were no Hamas rockets, there was no Iron Dome, and there were no terror tunnels. All three were just what I call in the book meta-props of Israel's Hasbara campaign. Through the record, there were a few distance they couldn't put any munitions in it. It had no payload. It was just a pipe they were firing. So that was a fake, the Iron Dome. And as a factual matter, if one looks at the record, there were no Hamas rockets, there was no Iron Dome, and there were no terror tunnels. All three were just what I call in the book meta-props of Israel's Hasbara campaign.
On the other side of the border, there are reports that more rockets were fired into southern Israel on Monday. Now, this is Israel's Iron Dome defense system intercepting one of them. Others, though, have got through. A rocket hit a school car park in the city of Ashkelon, and that's where we take you now live. Al Jazeera's Hoda Abdul Hamid is there. Last time we spoke over an hour ago, Hoda, you'd just been watching that Iron Dome missile defense system at work. There have since been further rockets fired at that area of Israel.
Yes, and actually about 20 minutes ago we watched again the Iron Dome system in action. The air siren did not go on. It's going on now, so we're just going to duck a little bit. The air siren is now, usually there's about 10 to 15 seconds. We can hear the noise. I cannot see it, but what we can see is a trail of rockets in the sky. We're not really sure where it's heading. It's above our head, actually. We can see it. It's all I can tell you, and it's just been intercepted by the Iron Dome. You can probably hear the explosions. We should be fine. Whoa, there's another one there. You probably can see it. Three. That actually, we don't know whether they're being intercepted or not at this stage. Yes, they are. You can just see, I'm just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This has been a bit the pattern over the past few days, a barrage of explosions, and then it goes quiet for an hour or so. We just still don't know. We're just going to stay a bit down still until we figure out whether it's all clear or not. That was, I can't tell you how many, but I can tell you that they were all intercepted. As far as we know, nothing has landed. I think that nowadays they're all clear and we can stand again. So there you go. That's how it works here in Ashkelon.
Through the record, there were a few distance they couldn't put any munitions in it. It had no payload. It was just a pipe they were firing. So that was a fake, the Iron Dome. Through the record, there were a few distance they couldn't put any munitions in it. It had no payload. It was just a pipe they were firing. So that was a fake, the Iron Dome.